Hello and welcome. This presentation is called How to Close More Sales for Your Bookkeeping Business. Honored to be a part of the Successful Bookkeeper Summit 2024. My name is Roger Pierce and I will be your host today. Thanks again for joining us. I want to start by briefly talking about the importance of developing sales skills as a bookkeeper or accountant. Even though this might feel a bit outside the typical scope of what you do, it's crucial for growing a successful practice. Sales skills aren't something you're born with. They can be learned and improved with lots of practice over time. This session is designed to help guide you through the sales process, helping you apply it to your work so you can close more deals and expand your business. So who am I? I'm a small business expert, author, speaker, and entrepreneur trainer who's founded 14 small businesses over the last 25 years, long time. Brands hire my content marketing agency to produce small business content for their websites and engage small business customers. My clients include Bank of Montreal, Scotiabank, FedEx, Rogers, MasterCard, Staples, and Sage Accounting Software. Done a lot of work with Sage for the last 10 years, so very familiar with their products. As for my sales experience, I've sold everything over the years from billboard advertising, marketing services, art, trade show space, event sponsorships, and even tent poles, if you can believe it, right up to very large service contracts worth tens of thousands of dollars to corporations like Bell, Visa, Sage, and even the government of Canada. I think my largest sale was worth $500,000 sold to Staples for a services contract. Anyway, I think sales and selling is thrilling because when you land a sale, you get this high and you're growing your business, but the process can be very frustrating and challenging. As we mentioned, every small business owner needs sales to survive and thrive, so let's get better at it. One of my cartoons from a previous project. You can have it good, fast, or cheap, we like to say when selling to customers. The point of this cartoon is just to let you know, you're going to make mistakes. Sales skills aren't something you're born with, but they can be learned and improved with practice and over time. So in this session, we're going to guide you through the sales process, helping you to apply it to your work so you can win more customers. All right, here's exactly what we're going to cover. We're going to review the 7 steps of selling. Kind of a traditional approach to sales, but I think it's worth knowing. Each step, from qualifying prospects to following up, is designed to help you systematically build trust and address client needs. So for example, when we go into identifying needs, we'll focus on understanding the specific financial challenges that your clients might be facing, such as managing cash flow or preparing for an audit, so that you can turn around and offer them tailored solutions. 7 steps of selling. Here we go. It's worth mentioning that selling is really 80% listening and 20% talking. I know a lot of people stereotype salespeople as the ones who just don't shut up and keep talking too much, but that's not really the most effective path. You really need to listen more carefully. So when you pay attention to what your prospects are saying, you're going to find a way to sell to them and to close the deal. Whether they're worried about cash flow, tax compliance, accuracy of their financial statements for analysis and management. When you listen carefully, you can provide relevant advice and better solutions, and you'll find a way to close the deal, I guarantee you. So the more you listen, the better you can position yourself to win that customer. Next slide. So let's get into step 1, qualifying the prospect. So you've got somebody who's reached out to you about your bookkeeping or accounting services. Maybe they've come in from online or from a trade show or referral. But now you've got an opportunity to qualify this prospect. Why do we want to qualify? Because you don't want to waste your time on leads that aren't a good fit for your services. And not every prospect that comes through the door is going to be a right fit for you and your business. It's okay to turn down business or refer it along to someone else who perhaps is a better fit for that prospect. So we really want to, dig into things like, what is their challenge? What is their problem? Do they have a budget for your services? We're not talking about price yet, but do they have a budget in mind? If you can get them to reveal that, that might let you know whether this is going to be a high value client or maybe someone that you need to put on a lesser price plan. Is there urgency? What kind of timeline? Because if someone wants to buy from me a year from now, I'm not going to make them a priority. I'll send them a proposal when I'm got some downtime in the next couple of months. If someone needs your bookkeeping services next week because the government is knocking at their door, then you need to know that so you can respond accordingly. Also, who is the decision maker? Who are you talking to? Let's say you do all this work and you submit a proposal and then it disappears into the organization and you don't know who to follow up with or who's going to actually see it. Are you dealing with the business owner? Are they the one who's going to make the decision to hire you or not? Or is there a team? Perhaps someone from acquisitions or from HR or one of the frontline staff is also going to be involved. Sometimes the person who you talk to in the sales process is not the one who actually makes the decision. So you need to know that to help you better qualify the customer, know who you're dealing with, and who you're going to follow up with. Sales step number 2, establish a relationship. So we're not going to jump in and sell right away. We're going to get to know this prospect a little bit. Establishing a strong relationship with your prospect is really key. Hey, we're all human. We all need that personal touch. So let's schedule an appointment or introduction to meet those stakeholders. Remember, we want to make sure we get everybody on the line or in the room who's involved in this decision to hire you or not. And in that meeting, could be long or short, hopefully short, you're going to share a bit about your background. You're going to share some relevant customer success stories. Like, hey, I did this for ABC Company, or I did this for Jane Smith, and they were very happy with it. And you're going to continue to probe and qualify the prospect a bit more while starting to identify their specific needs. Again, there's that listening. Building this relationship early helps establish trust and lays the foundation for a successful client relationship. Sales step number 3, identify needs. So this is where we dig a little bit deeper into the prospect's requirements. This step is crucial because it allows you to understand exactly what they're looking for and how you can best help them. So you're going to ask probing questions and listen, right, to get specific, such as what will solve their problem, confirm their budget and timeline, and identify any special requirements they might have, like insurance or compliance needs. Once you feel you've properly collected as much information as you can and you've got your finger on the pulse of their issue and their pain points, summarize it all up in an email back to them. So these are my takeaways from our recent meeting. Thank you for your time. As I understand it, you need this done, you want it done by this date, you've got approximately this much money to spend in your budget, and these are the criteria you're looking for in a bookkeeping or accounting firm. Do I have it right, or do I need to correct some of this understanding? Once you've got that confirmed, then you can start to prepare your proposal because you're speaking with precision. So once you've identified those needs and qualified the prospect and established a bit of a rapport, it's time to start building your pitch. My favorite part. I'll admit I love writing proposals. I don't know what's wrong with me. So let's talk about how to present the solution effectively. In sales, you're going to match the features and benefits of your services to the specific needs that you've identified during their discussions. So it's a value proposition, how your services can solve their problems and bring added value to their business. Let me give you an example. So if you've got a fast service that turns things around fairly quickly, and you know that that's one of the criteria that your prospect is interested in, speedy service, and that's something you're going to mention in your proposal. Hey, look, we can get your books up to speed as quickly as next week and start to do ongoing bookkeeping services every Friday following that for as long as you want us. Match your features and benefits to the pain points that the customer has expressed to you. When you're presenting your solution, whether it's a proposal or a quote or even a pitch deck like this, see if you can do it in person, right? Rather than just send it in. It's not always feasible, but it's great to arrange an in-person meeting or online meeting to review your quote or your proposal or your pitch, rather than just send it in and have them look it over and get back to you. Then you're stuck there waiting and hoping and not sure what to do. It's better to do it in person so you can explain the points, you can read the room a bit, and maybe some questions come up while you're doing it that you can address right away as opposed to later. It's tough to do, but it's a very important step to try to get in front of that person or decision-making team so you can present your quote or your proposal live. The good news is some accounting software products have built-in proposal writing features. Maybe you're using some of those, maybe you're not. It makes it very easy for you to put together your pitch, present your quote and your costs, and send it in. Accounting software also has letters of engagement, templates you can use. So when the client does sign up, you've got that step covered as well. Very important to have a clear and legally binding letter of engagement so everyone's on the same page. A couple notes about following up after sending in a proposal or presenting your quote in person. It's amazing how many businesses don't follow up. They do all this work to qualify the prospect, meet with them, present their deck, and then they don't ever follow up. The prospect is unimpressed and maybe wants to buy, but heck, they're not going to reach out. It's up to you to reach out. You're the seller. Here's an example. A couple years ago, five different roofers came to our house in downtown Toronto with estimates to shingle the roof, but only one followed up. And guess what? They're the one who got the $8,000 job. The other ones didn't even bother to follow up after sending in quotes. I couldn't believe it. This example highlights how crucial it is to call the prospect as promised, send any additional information they may need, and be proactive about the next steps. Showing enthusiasm for the work can make the difference between winning or losing the deal. Very important. Okay, now let's talk about overcoming objections. You can expect hurdles during the sales process. It's never smooth, right? There's always some ups and downs, and that's okay. That's how you earn the sale. And these are called objections, and they're usually based on price or time, quality, delivery, reputation. So let's give you some pointers on how to overcome typical objections. I've put down a few of these here. Hopefully you can see them. Need. I don't need what you're selling. That's a failure on our part to qualify the prospect. We shouldn't have gotten this far down the selling process if they're not the right fit for us. Maybe they don't need accounting services at all. Oops. Thank you. Time to move on. So, you need to address these objectives head on. If it was a clear-cut mistake and they don't need what you're selling, then time to shake hands and move on. Price. Prices are the most common objection you're going to come across. For example, you might get someone saying it's too expensive. Well, let's probe a bit. Compared to what? That's a very interesting comment. Compared to what? Have you looked at other providers? You hopefully have a range of budget already because you've asked that question earlier. But, why are they objecting? Why are they saying that it's too expensive? Is it actually the amount of money, $500 a month for bookkeeping services, let's say? Or is it a cash flow issue, right? They don't mind that fee, but they don't have the money right now, or they're worried about making that kind of commitment, that payment every month. We need to probe this a bit more so we can respond to these objections and overcome them. Because perhaps there's a way for you to work around that. Hey, did you know we offer an easy pay plan? It's so much money to sign up with us, and then it's only $2.99 a month going forward, and you get all these great features to help you make sure your books are compliant. Probe, ask questions, and you'll find a way through. The value proposition. We're not talking about price yet. We're talking about how much value you're going to give this client in terms of service and quality and speed and delivery. They're not going to have to worry about audits because you're going to be there right by their side to handle things. You're going to run interference with the government for them. Whatever you're talking about in terms of a service, focus on the value of your offering rather than get stuck down into price. If you do a good job communicating the value proposition, any seller does a good job communicating the value proposition, then price almost becomes redundant because the customer wants it so bad. Price almost becomes irrelevant. So your goal here is to reassure the prospect and remove any doubts they might have about moving forward. Let's look at a few more objections. Features. Doesn't have the features we want. Well, again, a fault on the seller for not qualifying a bit better a few steps earlier. You should know what the customer wants at this stage. You should know what they're looking for, what their buying criteria are. Some of those things might be uncertainty, time, implementation costs. They might worry about how much it's going to cost to use your product or service inside their business, or how disruptive it might be. Maybe it's going to take up too much of their staff time to deal with you or collect all the documents you need to get your work done. This is where you reassure them about the process and how easy it is for you to get started. Maybe you explain a bit better about what you can do and how you get the customer on board. And from there, it's just a matter of a half hour a week touching base or collecting documents online or a shared portal. Whatever your process is, this is where you get to explain it, but perhaps they don't understand. If they're concerned about your experiences, if you're a new bookkeeper or accounting professional, you just set up a practice and maybe you don't have many clients, then you got to find a way to overcome that, perhaps by providing references, right? Some people that know you, maybe not clients yet, but know you, know how professional you are and how reliable you are to get that going. Maybe you can do things like offer risk-reducing guarantees, like a money-back offer, or hey, let's try this relationship out for the next 3 months, and if we're not happy with the outcome, we'll part as friends, right? What can you do to reduce the risk for the client if they're worried about working with you for some reason? Talk about how much employee training might be required, if anything. Let's say you're introducing a new software program that you want the customer to use to align with your own. What's the implementation they're going to look like? Be upfront about these things. Customer might object how much time that takes. Perhaps you can smooth it over by letting them know that it's really a painless process and you're going to minimize the impact on their organization. Expect objections for sure. They definitely come up. Here's a few more. I don't have time to deal with this right now. Call me in 6 months. Again, maybe a failure on our part to qualify the prospect from the beginning. You can respond by explaining the setup process and how simple and it only requires 2 hours of your time to onboard, whatever that might be. You can explain that to them. Maybe that's going to overcome the time objection. If not, make a note to follow up in 6 months as the customer requests. We talked about implementation cost in the previous slide. The price isn't the issue. We have to adjust our systems. Focus on long-term savings. You can offer employee training, and you can probe how difficult is the implementation really. It's not a big deal. Maybe the customer is making it into a mountain when it's really just a molehill. So you've overcome objections, and now you're ready to catch yourself that client. And that's closing techniques. Once you've solved all of their objections, you can ask, do you have any other concerns or questions? If they don't, then they're ready to close, okay? Because hopefully you've answered all of their issues and you're ready to move on to the right to ask for the sale. If you don't feel you've answered their questions, if they're still humming and hawing and they seem nervous, then maybe you need to loop back and do some more of these overcoming objections. You need to earn the right for a sale. You'll know it when it's there. You'll know when the mood is right, when the moment is right to move to this step. Number 5, closing techniques. Now, closing techniques are very personal. Some of these are going to make you cringe, but I'm going to put them all out there just so you can come up with one that works for you and your comfort level. There is the puppy dog close, which I'll talk about in the next slide. You can simply ask for the order. May we have your order, please? It's amazing to me how many sellers are afraid to ask for the business. I love to work with your company. Can we have your business, please? Most people are pre-programmed to say yes and be agreeable, by the way. So take a deep breath. You've earned it. You're a responsible professional. You've got a great reputation in the industry. You know your stuff. Be confident in your services. Ask for the sale, however that might come across for you. What are some other ones here? The assumptive close. Set a date to begin the work. How does this sound to you? If you like, we can get started next week. For online sellers, if you're selling your services online, the checkout, entering the credit card, that's a pretty clear sign of a close right there. Other things is delivery date. Like I just said, we can start next week. If you were shipping a product, hey, how would you like that new car in your driveway by the end of next week? If they say that sounds great, or they want it by the 15th of the month, that's a close. You've done it. As soon as someone suggests a delivery date or when they want to begin work, then you've got a sale. Once you've got that sale, then you can send the engagement letter and do your onboarding process. Some other sales techniques. Oh, there's the puppy dog. That's looking up at the prospect with puppy dog eyes and saying, may we have your order, please? You can also use the hard close. Yes or no? Would you like to work with us or not? Maybe a little too abrupt, but to each his own. There's the urgency close. We're booking up pretty fast. I hate to see you miss out. Would you like to go ahead with this arrangement? Hotels use that all the time online, don't they? Book now, 2 rooms left at this rate. It's a human nature thing. Without a sense of urgency, we don't take action, and we prioritize things based on urgency, right? So you have to create a bit of a timeline here. You're not going to be available forever, so don't be afraid to say, you know what, I'd love to work with you. I think we can really add value to your organization. Sounds like we've got everything you need at the price point you want. Unless there's any other objections, what do you say we get started next month? To be honest, I am getting busy and I want to make sure I've got a space available for you. There's also the question close. Is there any reason not to proceed? Right? If they say no, all right, go ahead, write it up. If they say yes, there's maybe some other objection that they've just thought of that didn't come up during the objections phase, and now is your chance to address it and close again. ABC, always be closing. Okay. By the way, I'm going to give you my email at the end here, so if you've got any follow-up questions, happy to answer them, no problem. We can dialogue. As I said a minute ago, remember, you got to earn the sale to close it. Put yourself in the buyer position and buying anything for your business or for your personal life. You ever felt pressured by a salesperson and they were asking for the sale prematurely, like they didn't earn your business, they were just rushing to close? They didn't answer your questions, they didn't take the time to explain the product, features and benefits, or hear you out. They're just salesy, pressuring you, then you don't want to be that type of person. If you feel you've earned it, if you've gone through this process, then it's time to close. And by the way, this process could happen in a day, it can happen in a couple of months, it can happen over the space of a year. I sell to banks. They have a very long sales cycle. It takes 6 to 12 months sometimes to close a customer. There's so many stakeholders and processes, and they just move at a very slow pace. I love working with big corporations, but the pace can be very slow. So you need to remember that this process could take a short period of time or a long period of time. Hopefully in your case, it's not going to take too long. You can move along fairly quickly. But earn the sale. Communicate value, and customers will want to buy from you. One of my favorite expressions is, everybody hates to be sold, but people love to buy, right? So keep that in mind. Aha, so we're almost near the end. We've got the deal. They've said yes, but we're not done yet, right? We can't just run away and open the champagne. The sale isn't over once the client agrees to the deal. Following up is just important as closing. Now, we're not talking about following up on your proposal. You've done that. Remember the example of the roofers. But following up after the client has become your client. Look, there's a lot of post-purchase anxiety that happens out there. We all have it. Oh my God, did I make the right decision? Did I make the wrong decision? Customers naturally doubt. Business customers, personal customers, consumers naturally doubt their purchase right after they make it. You ever come home from the store with something and go, why did I buy that? Thankfully, there's a return policy. Not everything can be returned. Post-purchase anxiety. So this is the time when you want to reassure that new client. Hey, look, great to meet you. Really glad we're going to be working together. You've made a good decision. We're going to do great work together. Something as simple as that. A phone call, a note, an email, right? Thank you gift if you want to go that far. And the customer's going to take that and say, this is a good decision. I made a good decision. They're going to reassure, right? Because you followed up and calmed down some of their anxiety. If it's like project-based work and not a long-term ongoing relationship, and the work is already done, the follow-up step is really to circle back and say, hey, what else can we do for you, right? Maybe there's some other work they've got that's available to you. Or if it's just a project-based and it's done, because it's time to ask for a testimonial and maybe a referral. Something you put on your website. Hey, I really enjoyed working with you on this project. It seems like you're happy. Is there anyone else you could refer me to that might benefit from the same services? Or, hey, really great to work with you on this project. Seems like you're happy. Do you mind if I get a little quote to put on my promotional materials, including my website? Upselling, reselling, reordering. Look, it costs so much less to keep an existing customer than it is to get a new customer. This is why having a customer relationship is so valuable. You know how hard it is to get those leads. Once you've got that customer and you've got a relationship and there's been money traded and services transacted, you want to keep that relationship going and ask, what else can you do for them? Is there a reorder? Is there a upsell? Do they want what you just provided next time? Maybe it's an annual tax return or something. You need to keep that relationship going because it's so less expensive to serve an existing customer than acquire a new one. A couple things about price. When to talk price. You should talk about price only after you've presented your solution. We don't want to raise any unnecessary concerns. Oh, that's too expensive. Well, wait a minute. You haven't heard what the value I'm offering. You haven't heard about all the features and benefits that we're going to present. So, if someone asks up front before you've really had that conversation, how much do you cost? You say, well, we'll get to that. Would you mind if I explain what we do first? And I'll share our rate card with you. Premature price discussion can actually hurt your sales process because they might raise unnecessary concerns or objections or set the wrong expectations. People hear a number in their head and automatically they're going to think of you in a different way. So wait till the client understands the full value of what you're offering and then share your price and it'll be justified because it's in line with the benefits you've just presented. Make sense? Wrapping up here, let you get on with your day. A couple last items. Just to remind you, all business owners, especially in fields like bookkeeping and accounting, sales might not come naturally to you. Like I said, not all business owners are natural born sellers. It takes time to develop these skills. It's okay to be on a learning curve. Trust me, you will get better at this over time. The more customers and clients you take on over the years, the easier it's going to flow. So give yourself a break, give yourself some credit, expect to be on a learning path. Now, you can start small, right? It says there in the last bullet, practice on some small prospects first. So look, I wouldn't walk into Staples and try to pitch a $500,000 contract my first day in business, because I know I'm going to make mistakes because maybe I haven't had any sales experience as a new business owner. So, can you warm up on some smaller fish prospects? Some people who you don't mind if you blow the deal because you're just learning some sales steps. Don't rush out and call Microsoft on the first day of being in business. Let's start with a smaller business, something that's not going to hurt if you lose it, because you are going to make mistakes. And invest in sales training, right? There's lots of things you can do. You can take courses, you can read books, go online, watch videos on YouTube, tons of stuff out there to help you become a better seller if that's what you're interested in. A couple books for you to maybe check out: The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy, an oldie but a goodie, and Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. It really helps professionals who want to get more clients. Also a good idea to read The Successful Bookkeeper by our friend Michael Palmer. Check those things out and be sure to go online. Lots of great resources and courses and things to help you become a better seller. And that's it. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time and attention. I hope we shared a few nuggets about the steps of selling. Here's my contact information, roger@rogerpierce.ca. Feel free to send me an email with any follow-up questions. Sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, I'm happy to help. I'll also invite you to check out my podcast, which I'm very excited about. It's called The Unsure Entrepreneur, and it's available on your preferred streaming platform. In the podcast, we talk about small business, and we interview small business owners, industry experts, folks who can provide us with information and advice about building and growing a successful small business. So I encourage you to check out that show. That's it for now. My name is Roger Pierce. Thanks again for being here. Have a great day.